liberal media turns on Biden, and Donald Trump is beating Joe Biden by a lot more now. It's a new Washington Post poll that came out. So let's play this Meet the Press now. I'm playing it from the beginning, so there's a little build up in the first 30 seconds or so that we're going to watch before she actually gets into the numbers with Steve Kornacki. So let's listen.
A new NBC News poll shows an overwhelming majority of voters have concerns about President Biden and former President Donald Trump.
I got the job done. I got it done.
As the GOP candidates get ready to debate for a second time without Trump, will any of them be able to break through?
I don't think we need people who are in it for themselves, seeking retribution.
Yeah, because you're not in it for that. You're in it as a plant. You're a media plant.
Dominating the party. Plus, shutdown risk. House Republicans struggle to agree on spending bills. And now another government shutdown is just days away.
This is a whole new concept of individuals that just want to burn the whole place down.
That should be AOC. They should be saying that about AOC. This guy is a robot.
Of a civil
I swear he's AI.
war.
Will Speaker McCarthy turn to Democrats for help? I'll talk to Democratic Congressman James Clyburn of South Carolina and Transportation Secretary Pete Buttigieg. And taking bribes, Democratic Senator Bob Menendez of New Jersey resisting calls to resign.
The senator and his wife accepted hundreds of thousands of dollars of bribes.
Federal agents found gold bars and cash stuffed in envelopes hidden in the senator's clothing. How damaging will this be for Senate Democrats?
They're all corrupt.
Joining me for insight and analysis
all
are
corrupt.
NBC News Chief White House Correspondent.
All right, so you saw all the stories they cover, and now we're going to get here, so I'm sure that'll be edited out in the clip. But now let's get into the actual part that we're here to cover, and that's right here.
This is Meet the Press with Kristen Welker.
Good Sunday morning. Here in Washington, dysfunction is on full display. The federal government is careening toward a shutdown just 1 week from today with no deal in sight. As one top House Republican lawmaker told me overnight, quote, "It appears that's where we're headed," as hardline Republicans dig in on their demands for deep spending cuts, while threatening to replace Speaker McCarthy, who warned this week they want to, quote, "burn the whole place down." Democratic Senator Bob Menendez is resisting calls to resign after being indicted for allegedly taking hundreds of thousands of dollars in bribes to benefit the Egyptian government. Prosecutors releasing stunning photos, including wads of cash they found stuffed into a monogram jacket when they searched the Menendez home, gold bars, and a Mercedes-Benz. The indictment appears to undercut Republican allegations of a two-tiered system. Reagan Presidential Library. But is it too late to break through? Our brand new NBC News.
All right. Take you so long to get into it. Anytime it's bad news about Biden, they take a long time to get to that shit. So we are finally here. All right. Now we can finally analyze what we're here to analyze.
Days, Mr. Trump's Republican rivals will try to make their own contrast at the second Republican debate at the Reagan Presidential Library. But is it too late to break through? Our brand new NBC News poll shows they have an uphill climb. I am joined now by national political correspondent Steve Kornacki to take us.
These numbers are not good.
Steve, it's so great to have you here. A lot of headlines in this new poll.
Yeah. So she does the show a little bit different, and this is one of the differences in bringing on somebody else to do the numbers when they would open. So if you don't know, this is her second full day as being now the new host. Chuck Todd no longer hosts. Chuck Todd does these numbers normally, but she brings somebody else on and does it in a different way where she's asking questions. So that's a difference.
Kristen, you mentioned an uphill climb for these Republican opponents of Donald Trump. Let's show folks from our new poll exactly how steep it is. Look at this. Donald Trump, brand new national poll of Republican primary voters, nearly 60% support the former president. His nearest rival, Ron DeSantis, more than 40 points behind him now. Obviously, you can see here nobody else in single digits.
So their propaganda and the 91 charges is not working.
In June, Trump seemed to have a dominant lead. Then it has only gotten more dominant from.
So he's gained 8 points. So over time, they've been doing propaganda. It's June and now it's September. So July, August. So at least 2 months. 2 months of intense propaganda. This is when this is when all of these charges fail. This is when all the most fever pitch propaganda against Donald Trump was going on, and the numbers go up for him. Not a good sign.
43 now. It was not even 30 in June. And you can see here, we asked the question. I think this gets to the heart of it. We asked Republicans, should Donald Trump be the leader of your party? And now nearly 60% say yes. It wasn't quite 50 at the start of the summer.
Well,
those numbers are going opposite. If you're legacy media, you're going, why isn't our propaganda working? The numbers are going the opposite way. And I think it also speaks to the reason why they're now more willing to go after Joe Biden, because there are some in the ruling class and the establishment that do want him gone. They know that this guy cannot win and they want him gone. So, but let's continue. Let's listen to the question she asked. I'm going to rewind in 15 seconds and let it play out.
Minute from 43 now. It was not even 30 in June. And you can see here, we asked the question. I think this gets to the heart of it. We asked Republicans, should Donald Trump be the leader of your party? And now nearly 60% say yes. It wasn't quite 50 at the start of the summer.
Well, Stephen, what's so stunning about this number, a lot's happened since June. We're talking 2 more indictments against former President Trump, so 4 in total, and the first GOP primary debate. And yet, Mr. Trump is just solidifying his lead with GOP voters.
And Kristen, you know this from talking to Republican critics of Trump from rival campaigns. Everything you just explained, they thought would take him down a peg this summer. And instead, he has only moved up here. You can see the numbers saying the party needs a new leader. That has gone down. So for Donald Trump there, nothing but good news. And it raises this question. If Republicans go forward and nominate Trump again, this is what the rematch in our poll would look like right now. 46-46. And you remember, in 2020, Joe Biden actually won the popular vote by more than 4 points. And how about this? DeSantis, who sort of pitched himself as the electable version of Trump to Republicans, fares worse against Biden than Trump does. We also tested Nikki Haley, the former UN ambassador. She actually leads Joe Biden by 5 in our poll.
This is notable because she had such a strong showing in the first primary debate. Could that be the reason we're seeing this bump, Steve?
So 2 polls, 2 of the major polls, CNN and Washington Post, where Nikki Haley is beating, the only one beating Joe Biden outside of the margin of error, and also happened to be tied in this poll. I think in the CNN poll, Trump is up by 1, and in this poll, they're 46-46. So let's listen.
Possible. Let's put a pin in this one, though, because one thing our poll found, she's not nearly as well known as Trump and DeSantis.
Right.
So
she's not going to win
she's not going to win
the nomination. We'll so this doesn't matter.
Obviously, the fact that the president is struggling this much against every Republican we put him up against raises the question. Where is that coming from? The most obvious answer is just this: is simple question of job approval. Barely 40% approve of Joe Biden's performance.
And we have to note 56%. That's the highest disapproval rating for President Biden since he took office.
Yeah, the highest the way that now they're able to talk about him ever since the David Ignatius article, and I think it dropped in, was that the Washington Post? Forget. I think it was the Washington Post. Ever since then, they've been allowed to more talk about him more openly, even with critiques, as you see. I'm just curious because it's getting close, like weeks away. I think 3 weeks or so away for where they're going to replace him. So I'm wondering if there's going to be enough pressure in this way where these poll numbers are just devastating, because the one we're going to cover tomorrow, 10 points. 10 points.
That's significant.
Yeah, so let's take a look at what's driving that too here. In one big area, no surprise, it is the economy. Look at this contrast. This is April of 21, months after Biden took office. Nearly half the country was satisfied with where the economy was then. Now, barely 1 in 4 Americans satisfied with the economy. 20 points there. There's also this. We found an enthusiasm gap between the two parties. We asked folks on a scale of 1 to 10, how enthusiastic are you about the presidential election? And you can see Republican to Democrat, there is a gap right there. Where's the lag for Democrats? We found a couple places.
Look where the lag is.
Non-white voters, you can see significantly less enthusiastic than white voters. And then how about this age gap? The youngest group.
Let's look at that there. White voters enthusiasm, 73%. Black voters, 20% less than that at 53%. Latino voters at 51%. And then when you go down to age, look at 65 plus and look at the main, not the main, but one of the main demographics, 18 to 34. Look where that's at.
Group of voters who Democrats.
I'm going to
and you
rewind
can
it
see
so you can say this
Republicans and
part.
Democrat. There is a gap right there. Where's the lag for Democrats? We found a couple places. Non-white voters, you could see significantly less enthusiastic than white voters. And then how about this age gap? The youngest group of voters who Democrats have been trying to get excited and motivated, a nearly 50-point gap there.
So really an uphill battle to try to make sure voters don't stay home if you're Democrats.
Yeah, that's it. And the problem for Democrats, too, the lack of enthusiasm about the election, there's clearly a lack of enthusiasm about the president himself, because we asked primary voters on the Democratic side, do you want options next year besides Biden? 59% said yes, they do. This is not.
But this is not a democracy, and the Democrats is a private organization. And they saying, fuck what the voters want. We doing what the hell we want to do. So if they're going to insert somebody, that's definitely going to be Gavin Newsom.
A normal number for an incumbent. We asked the same question a year before Donald Trump sought re-election of Republicans. Only 37% wanted more choices then.
So you see the contrast? Do you want a different challenger? Do you want a different challenger to an do you want challenger to incumbent? Do you want a different person representing your party? 59% are saying yes to Joe Biden. When the same question was asked about Donald Trump, only 37%. That's an enthusiasm. That shows more enthusiasm problems between the two candidates.
Very high number.
Yeah, this is like the inverse of each other, these two numbers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it raises the question, too, what else concerns Democrats? And I think this gets to sort of the elephant in the room here. Biden's age and fitness. I mean, look at this contrast. We have talked so much about Donald Trump, the indictments, the legal woes. They are clearly a major or moderate concern to the majority of Americans. But Biden's age and fitness for office,
his age
3
supersedes
out of 4
even
in
the
our poll.
indictments.
This is Democrats, Republicans, Independents say it's a.
So they want things like Trump's indictment to be the most important thing, and they simply are not. So Trump's 91 indictments gets less a lower approval number than Biden's age. So people are more concerned about Biden's age than Trump's indictment. That's devastating to the Biden administration.
The major or moderate concern for them. How about Trump? He's only a few years younger than Biden. A full 27-point gap right there.
A full 27-point gap, and mainstream media refuses to address this when they're only 3 years apart. How can this be? Because people are literally answering their question based off what they are seeing in the person. They're not just talking about a number, not knowing who the person is. The person is obviously reflecting on Joe Biden. Yeah, I've seen him falling down. He's messing up. He clearly is walking slow. His mind, he looks clearly vacant eyes a lot of times, versus Donald Trump, and I see him acting a certain way. So clearly the number is reflecting what people are seeing, even though you're only trying to narrowly describe this as age. Let's continue.
This is looming as a major problem for the president, too.
It's notable because his strategy is to try to laugh off concerns about his age. We'll have to see
keep
if
laughing it off.
Strategy.
Keep laughing it off.
Fascinating stuff. Steve Kornacki, thank you so much.
Yeah, and there's another segment in here where the panel talks about it. I'm going to save that